Hi, welcome to this video about Mars Curiosity, a REST library for Embarcadero Delphi. In this video, we will build our first server with Mars Curiosity, the Hello World example. My name is Andrea Magni, I'm a computer engineer and I live in Italy. I'm also an Embarcadero MVP. Feel free to contact me if you have any question or suggestion about these videos and about this library. A REST server is basically an HTTP server that provides content in front of requests made by clients. Most of the time you will end up building HTTP JSON application server. That means that you will serve through HTTP some JSON content to your clients. Usually what you have to deal with is how to abstract from the concepts of HTTP protocol and the content you want to provide to the client. Mars Curiosity offers you an abstraction that is described in this slide. We can have one or more engines. Usually you have one, the default engine. That is a set of applications, and each application can be seen as a collection of resources. Think about resources into the REST terminology. And we do have also the concept of sub-resources. Resources and sub-resources can be queried by HTTP verbs like get, post, put, and delete. As you can see on the slide, different parts of the URL the client is calling are demanded to different parts of this architecture. So the first prefix is tied to the engine, then there's the application name, then there's the resource name and the sub-resource name, and there can be parameters both on the path and also on the query string. And then again we do have the body content of the request and so on. There are a lot of concepts in this area. Mars Curiosity provides you a way to concentrate yourself on the content and let these details handled by the library itself. To have a quick start with Mars Curiosity, you can use the Mars template project that you can find into the demos folder. It's a pre-built VCL application that can host a Mars engine that already has a default application in it and a demo resource defined. You will have time to switch later to a better deploy option. Other deploy options will be available in the next weeks. This is, of course, the easiest way to start with your application server and Mars Curiosity. So as I said, we can see into the Delphi IDE. I can open the Mars template server dproj, and I can see it is a very simple VCL application with just two actions. Let's have a look to the start server action that will be launched when you run the application. So it is very simple code to read. We are creating a new Mars engine. We can read some parameters of the engine from an ini file. It is just an example, but it's handy. And we can define an application named default app that is tied to the /default part of the URL. And we can list what resources this application should contain, naming the resources by the fully qualified name of the class. We can use wildcards, so what is written here is include into the default application all the resources I will define into the server.resources unit, that is the other unit in this project. After that, I simply have to provide an actual implementation of an HTTP server. There's an Indy implementation inside Mars Curiosity. pass to this implementation my engine and just start my server. That's it. So let's have a look at how resources are defined into Mars Curiosity. It is very simple. Of course, it's just a demo, but as you can see, you simply have to include some units that are needed because of we are using attributes and some types. You may notice that the class I'm defining, it's a very plain Delphi object with no inheritance needed. And it has been decorated with some attributes like the path attribute that will tie this resource to a particular URL that is built considering the engine base path, the application name, and this string I'm leaving into the path attribute constructor. My class has only one very simple method, that is the sayHelloWorld method, that is a function returning a string, and I simply have to decorate this method with the get attribute to let Mars Curiosity call this method when the proper HTTP request comes from the client and matches the path of this resource, and matches also the HTTP verb, that is the get verb. Also, I'm stating that I will produce some text plain. So what I have to do is simply implement my Delphi function, and you would never say that this is tied to a remote client calling through HTTP or some networking behind the scenes. It is a plain Delphi implementation. This is very important to me because it is a clear abstraction of the underlying stack. The last thing I want you to notice is that I had to register my resource into the Mars Resource Registry singleton. That's it. I can run this server and I will have my HTTP up and running, listening on port 8080, and I can use any HTTP client to try to perform a request. I will use Postman. I will build a GET request. My engine is responding on 8080 port, and I know that the default engine has the REST prefix inside. You can change it if you want or remove it. My application was named default application, and my resource was the hello world resource. If I execute this request, my server will respond with the hello world content, that is the string I built in my Delphi implementation. And that's it. This is my very first Mars Curiosity request execution. So what if I want to do a bit more, to add another method where we can use provide a content better than some simple text. So why not say hello using a JSON object? And what I have to do is simply define that my method will return a JSON object, and I have to decorate this method, as I said before, with a get attribute to tie with the HTTP verb get, and I will say that I'm responding on the JSON sub-resource, so it is I have to define another part of the path, and I am producing application JSON as a content. So I will provide an implementation, and very easily I can do this. Greetings from Italy. Okay, not the most beautiful JSON object in the world, but that's it. So if we run the server now, my server will respond also on the JSON sub-resource, and if I execute my request, what I get is a properly JSON content, and Postman will recognize that it is actually a JSON string, and I can see also the content type is correct. So that's all for now. We will see in some later videos some more sophisticated features of Mars Curiosity, like parameters mapping and so on, and other HTTP verb. And feel free to ask me question or to write your comments on my blog. Keep an eye on my blog. I will post regularly about Mars Curiosity. And thanks for watching. Bye bye.